We also have a tremendous relationship on the military, and Japan is ordering a great deal of military equipment. We make the best equipment in the world, the best jets, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. So Japan is doing very large orders, and we appreciate that. And we think it's probably appropriate right now with everything that's going on. The world is changing.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at highlights from President Trump's trip to Japan, where he basically told us the whole plan on what's coming with China and Japan in his press conferences and speeches. But first, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to present to you Tucker Carlson debating Bill Nye, the quote-unquote science guy.
Well, Bill Nye the Science Guy is now aspiring to a new title, Bill Nye the Psychoanalyst Guy. During a Facebook Live event with Senator Bernie Sanders today, the mechanical engineer and TV personality said, skeptics of global warming suffer from the psychological delusion of cognitive dissonance. It's a slight bump up from last year when he was open to the idea of imprisoning skeptics, global warming, as war criminals. Is that the choice, Bellevue or Nuremberg? Bill Nye joins us now. Bill, it's great to see you. That doesn't sound like science to me, Bill Nye the Science Guy. That sounds like something very different.
So cognitive dissonance is not a delusion. It's a feature. It's human nature. So we in the science community are looking for an explanation why climate change deniers, or extreme skeptics, do not accept the overwhelming scientific evidence for climate change. And the most reasonable explanation is you have a worldview, and then you have evidence, and the evidence disagrees with your worldview, so you deny the evidence. And then along with that, you deny the authorities that are providing the evidence. Now, if you have a better hypothesis for why climate deniers deny the overwhelming scientific evidence, bring it on. It's not a delusion. It's just like the fox and the grapes.
Well,
he can't reach the grapes, so he says the grapes are no good.
Look, people do come to every debate with preconceptions, and you're right about that, of course. But the essence of science is extreme skepticism. We always ought to be asking ourselves, is my hypothesis true?
I'm a member of both skeptic organizations, Mr. Carlson, and this is climate change denial is denial. The evidence is overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. I love you as a person more than life itself, but the evidence for climate change is overwhelming. So we are looking for an explanation of why you guys are having so much trouble with it.
Slow down. Before the name calling begins, and before you try to end the conversation, let's start it by asking what exactly you mean. Now, I think most people are open to the idea that the climate is changing. It has always changed, by the way, as you know.
It's the rate, Mr. Carlson. It's the rate that's such a concern.
The core question, from what I can tell, is why the change? Is it part of the endless cycle of climate change, or is human activity causing it? That seems to be the debate to me, and it seems an open question, not a settled question, to what degree human activity is causing that. Is that not an open question?
It's not an open question. It's a settled question. Human activity is causing climate change.
To what degree?
To a degree that it's a very serious problem in the next few decades.
Wait, stop. Wait, no, you said it's a settled point, and I'm asking a very precise question.
It's a settled point.
Okay, then if you'll elucidate it for me, I'd be grateful. To what degree is climate change caused by human activity? Is 100% of climate change is caused by human activity? Is it 74.3%? It's settled science. Please tell us to what degree human activity is responsible.
So the word degree is a word that you chose. But the speed that climate change is happening is caused by humans. Instead of happening on timescales of millions of years, or let's say 15,000 years, it's happening on the timescale of decades and now years. Now, I offered...
Wait, but hold on. But to what extent is human activity responsible for speeding that up? I mean, please be more precise.
If that's the number you want. Humans are causing it to happen catastrophically fast.
Okay, so at what rate would it have changed without human activity? And you look annoyed that I'm asking these questions, but they're very basic questions. They're not denial.
So basically, the cycles of climate change, the last ice age we had was tens of thousands of years ago. So bear in mind that in ancient dinosaur days, there was more carbon dioxide. The world was warmer than it is now. There was an inland sea in what is now Wyoming, and I understand you have a member of Congress from Colorado, used to be underwater, and you go to Dinosaur National Mine, you can see it. Okay.
Yes.
But that's millions of years ago. The problem is
you just said it was tens of thousands.
That was the Ice Age. The rate. The rate is the problem. Now, here's the thing. Half the people in the world live on sea coasts. As we get the ocean a little bit warmer, the ocean's going to expand, and people who live on the seacoast are going to be displaced.
But you're not answering my question.
Yes,
you're describing what will happen if this continues. And I'm asking you a simple question. Hold on. I'm asking you a simple question about the rate of climate change.
So
you said that it would be happening, but that rate has accelerated because of human activity. And I'm asking you very simply.
The word accelerated is an understatement. Okay, it's happening extraordinarily
I'm asking you a simple
fast.
question. And because the science is settled, I hope you can answer it in simple terms, which is, without human activity, how long would it have taken for us to reach this level of warmth in our climate?
It's not clear that it would have happened. In other words, humans have changed the climate so drastically that we have almost certainly avoided another ice age. There would have been another ice age, ain't going to happen because of you and me. So the sooner we get to work on this problem, the problem.
When would it have happened?
When would the next ice age have happened?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Without human activity, what would the process look? Here's the point that I hope our viewers can understand. I'm not in any way denying that the climate is changing. I'm utterly open to the possibility that the change is caused by man's activity. I'm merely calling into question your claim that all of this is settled, that we know precisely what is happening and why, and that anyone who asks pointed questions about it is a denier and ought to be imprisoned or shouted off the stage.
No, that was your word. That's you guys. That's not my claim, and I really.
Would you like me to read your quote? That people who disagree with you ought to potentially go to jail. You said that.
Okay.
And I'm just saying,
I'm not sure that's exactly what I said, Mr. Carlson. We can talk about that shortly, but.
Is it appropriate to jail the guys from Enron? Was it appropriate to jail the people in the cigarette industry who promised it wasn't addictive, et cetera?
Okay.
Look, my only point is, shouldn't we be encouraging people to ask honest questions, which I am doing, and you don't seem to have the answers to those questions.
Okay, I got to disagree with you. I claim I do have the answers.
Okay.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Why aren't you concerned about it? Don't you have 4 children? Why aren't you concerned about it?
I am concerned. That's why I'm having you on. Here, look, you don't reach correct conclusions in science or politics or any other field unless you can ask honest answers without being shouted down by people like you.
But I know what you mean. So
no, I do mean ask. I want to know what would happen without human activity. The climate change. No, it's a simple question. The climate is always changing. You've conceded that. You're saying that human activity has increased the speed.
Yeah.
Increases the speed of that change. And my point is, what would the climate look like right now without human activity?
It would have looked like it did in 1750. Britain would not be very well suited to growing. Yes, Britain would not be very well suited to growing grapes as it is today. French winemakers would not be buying land to the north as they are now. People who plan to run ski resorts would still be able to do it in Europe. And so the climate change and the parasites.
You're using the language of politics. Look, you're not a scientist, as you know. You're a popularizer.
I'm using the language
and that's fine.
of economics.
But
so
I'm just saying, look, to the extent that you prevent people, if you prevent people from having an honest conversation, you're doing a grave disservice to science. Don't you think that?
So you asked how long it would be before, what the climate would be like if humans weren't involved right now. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right.
So
at what point would it have changed? And I'm just saying, you don't actually know because it's unknowable.
So why aren't you open to interrupt me? Okay, it takes you quite a bit less than 6 seconds. So the climate would be like it was in 1750. And the economics would be that you could not grow wine-worthy grapes in Britain as you can today because the climate is changing. The use of pesticides in the Midwest would not be increasing because the parasites are showing up sooner or the pests are showing up sooner and hanging around longer.
I think that's probably all true, but you
would not be overwhelmed by pine bark beetles as it is because of climate change. That's how the world would be different if it weren't for humans.
You pretend that you know, but you don't know, and you bully people who ask you questions.
I really have to disagree with you. I spent a lot of time with this topic.
I'm open-minded. You are not, and we're out of time, unfortunately.
So,
thank you for joining us.
You guys are the mainstream media. And I can tell you why they're leaks. Because the president has created 2 factions in his administration. They don't like each other. So they leak. It's not from the outside, it's from the inside. Carry on, Mr. Carlson. I'm sure we will cross paths again.
That's a very ominous thing to say. I don't know what it means, but come back anytime.
Here, I've got an experiment for you. Safety glasses on. By the end of this century, if emissions keep rising, the average temperature on Earth could go up another 4 to 8 degrees. What I'm saying is the planet's on fire. There are a lot of things we could do to put it out. Are any of them free? No, of course not. Nothing's free, you idiots. Grow the up. You're not children anymore. I didn't mind explaining photosynthesis to you when you were 12, but you're adults now, and this is an actual crisis. Got it? Safety glasses off, motherfucker.
Thanks, Sarah. Mr. President, Prime Minister. Mr. President, I hope you'll indulge me with 2 questions since we're far from home. The first one is, so if Kim Jong-un is not violating his promise to you by firing small weapons, as you said in your tweet yesterday, what would you consider a violation exactly?
Well, first of all, let me say that I think that Kim Jong-un, or Chairman Kim, as some people say, is looking to create a nation that has great strength economically. I think he's very much, I talked to him a lot about it, and he's very much into the fact that he believes, like I do, that North Korea has tremendous economic potential, like perhaps few other developing nations anywhere in the world. And I think that he is looking to develop that way. He knows that with nuclear, that's never going to happen. Only bad can happen. He understands that. He is a very smart man. He gets it well. So I think that he is going to try at some point. I'm in no rush at all. The sanctions remain. We have our hostages back. We, as you know, are getting the remains, continuing to get the remains. A lot of good things are happening. And very importantly, there's been no nuclear testing for 2 years. I looked at a chart the other day. During the past administration, there were many numbers that were very high, like 10 and 12 and 18, having to do with missile launches and nuclear testing. And for the last 2 years on the bottom, it had 0 and 0. So I am very happy with the way it's going. And intelligent people agree with me.
You're not bothered at all by the small missiles?
No, I'm not. I am personally not.
Oh, okay, thank you. One more question, Mr. President. Last week you declared that you won't work with Democrats in Congress until they stop investigating you. So how are you going to explain to your voters when it comes at the expense of some of the promises that you made to them?
Well, there's never been a president more transparent. The Mueller report came out, no obstruction, no collusion, no nothing. It's a beautiful report. The Democrats cannot understand what happened. They really thought they had some people on their side because, as you know, the people doing the investigation were 18 extremely angry Democrats, many of whom worked for Hillary Clinton and supported Hillary Clinton. And Bob Mueller, I guess you could say he wasn't a friend of mine, but he did something that was really the right thing to do. They were very disappointed. They can't get over the fact that never spoke to Russia, never dealt with Russia, having to do with the subject we're talking about. And I will say this, that without question, we have done a job like few presidents have done. The only thing you can say about me that some people may not like is that I've created one of the greatest economies anywhere in the world. In fact, when I first met yesterday with Prime Minister Abe, the first thing he did was congratulate me on the incredible economy that we have in the United States. So I think that we will work with them. We have a USMCA, we have a deal with Canada and Mexico that everybody wants. I think it's all done, and I think they probably want to be doing that. As you know, Ambassador Lighthizer is here right now. That's a deal that's gotten universal praise. Unions love it, farmers love it, manufacturers love it. You won't have companies leaving and going to Mexico and going to Canada and going like they were for many, many years. It's a great deal. I would imagine that Nancy Pelosi will approve that. I would think it would be very hard not to, but we'll see. But certainly as things get approved, I would love to sign them. It's only good for our country. I'm only interested in what's good for our country. It's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Today, with the President, we discussed economic issues. And the global economy was something that we also addressed. There are a variety of challenges in the global economy we discussed in today's talk.
I'd like to add, though, that very importantly, I have nothing to do with TPP. Okay? Nothing to do. I'm not bound by anything that anybody else signs with respect to the United States. TPP would have destroyed our automobile industry and many of our manufacturers. We are not involved in TPP, so what other countries agree to is not binding at all in the United States. As far as China is concerned, they want to make a deal. I think they probably wish they made the deal that they had on the table before they tried to renegotiate it. They would like to make a deal. We're not ready to make a deal, and we're taking in tens of billions of dollars of tariffs, and that number could go up very, very substantially, very easily. But I think sometime in the future, China and the United States will absolutely have a great trade deal, and we look forward to that. Okay? Thank you.
The United States. Second question goes to Jeff Mason of Reuters.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to follow Vivian's lead and ask two questions if I can. First, as a follow-up on trade, can you lay out specifically, Mr. President, what Japan needs to do to avoid auto tariffs? And before you come back to the G20 in another month or so, do you expect talks with China to get back on track this year at all?
First of all, getting to the G20, I think that we are very much discussing different things with Japan. We have an unbelievably large imbalance, as you know, trade imbalance, which has been there for many, many years. Japan having the big advantage. They are brilliant business people, brilliant negotiators, and put us in a very tough spot. But I think we will have a deal with Japan. Likewise, I think we will have a deal with China sometime into the future. Many companies are leaving China right now because of the tariffs. China is subsidizing a lot of industry because, foolishly, some people said that the American taxpayer is paying the tariffs of China. No. It's not that way. They're paying a small percentage, but our country is taking in billions and billions of dollars. Our farmers, out of all of that money, the tens of billions of dollars, we're giving a relatively small percentage to our farmers, who have really been a focal point of what's gone on with trade. As you know, they've earmarked and they've gone after the farmer, thinking that if they hurt the farmer, I'm going to negotiate a bad deal for the rest of the country. I'll tell you, the American farmer, these are patriots. These are great patriots. They don't want subsidy. We've had meetings, and I've had meetings with 32, 35, 40 farmers at one time, numerous times, and they don't want subsidy. I've told that to you before, Jeff. They want a level playing field. That's all they want, because they're better than anybody in the world. And they've told me, I said, I'm going to get you subsidy while China takes advantage of us and China takes advantage of you by pinpointing you. They said, we don't want subsidy, sir. All we want is really a level playing field. The American farmer, these are great patriots. They're unbelievable people. And they're with me 100%. I believe that we will have a very good deal with China sometime into the future, because I don't believe that China can continue to pay these really hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I don't believe they can do that. Businesses are leaving China by the hundreds, by the thousands, going into areas that are non-tariffed, including the United States, by the way. But they're going to different parts of Asia, Vietnam, frankly, Japan. But they're going to a lot of places, but they're also coming to the United States because people don't want to pay the tariff. And if you look, there is no tariff to pay. All you have to do is move your company to the United States. There is no 25% tariff. But with all of that being said, I think that there's a very good chance that the United States and China will have a very good trade deal.
And Mr. President, follow up on North Korea. You tweeted about North Korea yesterday. Do you believe that they violated UN resolutions with the short-range missile launch? And does it give you pause at all to be appearing to side with a brutal dictator instead of with a fellow American, the former Vice President Joe Biden?
Well, Kim Jong-un made a statement that Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He probably is, based on his record. I think I agree with him on that. But at the same time, my people think it could have been a violation, as you know. I view it differently. I view it as a man, perhaps he wants to get attention, and perhaps not. Who knows? It doesn't matter. All I know is that there have been no nuclear tests. There have been no ballistic missiles going out. There have been no long-range missiles going out. And I think that someday we'll have a deal. I'm not in a rush. Tremendous sanctions being put on the country of North Korea. And again, Kim Jong-un understands the unbelievable economic potential that country has. It's located between Russia and China on one side and South Korea on the other. And it's all waterfront property. It's a great location, as we used to say in the real estate business. And I think he sees that. And I have to tell you one other country. I really believe that Iran would like to make a deal. And I think that's very smart of them, and I think that's a possibility to happen also.
But in terms of criticism that you're sort of supporting a dictator instead of an American vice president?
Well, when I look at what's been done by our vice president and the president, when I look at the horrible Iran deal that they made, look what happened since I terminated the Iran deal. Look what has happened to Iran. Iran, when I first came into office, was a terror. They were fighting in many locations all over the Middle East. They were behind every single major attack, whether it was Syria, whether it was Yemen, whether it was individual smaller areas, whether it was taking away oil from people. They were involved with everything. Now they're pulling back because they've got serious economic problems. We have massive, as you know, massive sanctions and other things. I mean, we just said the other day, steel, copper, different elements of what they used to sell. The oil is essentially dried up. And I'm not looking to hurt Iran at all. I'm looking to have Iran say, no nuclear weapons. We have enough problems in this world right now with nuclear weapons. No nuclear weapons for Iran. And I think we'll make a deal. I think Iran has tremendous economic potential. And I look forward to letting them get back to the stage where they can show that. I think Iran, I know so many people from Iran. These are great people. It has a chance to be a great country with the same leadership. We're not looking for regime change. I just want to make that clear. We're looking for no nuclear weapons. If you look at the deal that Biden and President Obama signed, they would have access, free access to nuclear weapons where they wouldn't even be in violation in just a very short period of time. What kind of a deal is that? So we can't have that. Plus, there were many other things they did that were very bad. So I don't take sides as to who I'm in favor, who I'm not. But I can tell you that Joe Biden was a disaster. His administration with President Obama, they were basically a disaster when it came to so many things, whether it was economy, whether it was military defense, no matter what it was, they had a lot of problems. So I'm not a fan. Memorial Day links every grateful American heart in eternal tribute to those brave souls who gave their last breath for our nation, from Concord to Gettysburg, from Midway to Mosul. Today, the unbreakable resolve of these heroes lives on in every American who wears our great uniform. Each day that you serve on these rolling but beautiful seas, you honor their sacrifice, you carry on their righteous duty, and you continue their noble legacy. Our republic endures because of brave men and women who are willing to lay down their lives to defend us all. Our freedom is earned through the blood and sweat and toil and sacrifice of great American patriots just like you. As we honor America's fallen warriors, we pledge our unwavering devotion to all of those who serve our nation in uniform. Throughout this region, from Yokosuka to Guam to Singapore to Okinawa to Boshan, the 7th Fleet is holding the line and defending the peace. Among the sailors and Marines, the USS Wasp, you serve as warfare officers, naval aviators, Marine riflemen, air crewmen, corpsmen, machinist mates, avionics tech. Go ahead, you can do it. Ordnance technicians. Okay. Where are the avionics guys and gals? Huh? Right there? Good. That's complicated business, right? Got to be pretty good. Cooks, fire control men and women, intelligence specialists. Who are the intelligence specialists? Good, great, great. You know that. Great. Nurses and engineers. Nearly every specialty in our 7th Fleet is represented on the ship today. You are the strongest, toughest, best, and bravest. Do you agree with that? You better. You are the ones keep going and striving and keeping America safe and strong and proud and free. You defend our freedom, our families, and you defend our great American flag. You show the world the force of American might and American heart, and you prove across these perilous waters and far beyond that there is no match on earth for the awesome power and glory of the American Navy and the United States Marines. To the men and women of America's 7th Fleet, the First Lady and I have been deeply honored to be with you all today. On behalf of all Americans, we thank you, we salute you, we honor you, we cherish you, and we stand with you now and forever. Thank you to the proud sailors and Marines of USS Wasp. God bless you. God bless our military, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.